everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you another Dragon Ball Super episode review. I'm here to review episode 6 of Dragon Ball Super. Now, of course, if you've not seen this episode, this review may contain spoilers, so please go check out episode 6 and then come back and let's talk shit about this fucking episode. That being said, Dragon Ball Super episode 6 had a lot going for it, a lot riding on it, more than likely, if I had to switch things around because of how controversial and terrible episode 5 was, which was sad because, as we all know, Dragon Ball Super, at least the first half of it, as it seems to be going on, it's pretty much just a rehash of Battle of Gods, and we were kind of hoping that Goku versus Beerus would look just as awesome as it did in the movies, and unfortunately it was the complete opposite of that. If you go back and watch episode 5, or watch my review for it, then you know my personal thoughts on episode 5. I liked it, but the animation and the fight overall, the package, just completely didn't do it for me. This episode, however, completely destroys episode 5, without a doubt. It is a phenomenal fucking episode. I loved it. I know I'm, using so much profanity, but I just loved this episode. It just got better and better and better every single step of the way, and it was just an amazing episode. But overall, let's get into the premise and story of this episode. Essentially, it's taking place right after the aftermath of Goku versus Beerus. Beerus has come to Earth to discover the truth of the Super Saiyan God, to find out if Vegeta or the rest of the Saiyans who are living on Earth know anything about Super Saiyan God. However, Goku is still stuck on King Kai's planet trying to figure out his next plan. He wants to go back to Earth to help out his friends, but at the same time, he doesn't want to go back without discovering a way to become stronger to defeat Lord Beerus himself, which of course is impossible, seeing as how, if you've watched Battle of Gods, then you know how to become a Super Saiyan God. But however, if you've not seen it, spoilers, essentially you need multiple Saiyans to, unlock the power that is Super Saiyan God. But that being said, Beerus has arrived on Earth on Bulma's little cruise ship birthday party thing, and everyone is just freaking out, specifically Vegeta. Vegeta has a torment of a fucking time pleasing Beerus, and I think the beautiful thing about this episode is that Vegeta is the main focus of this episode, but they did a lot of things different in comparison to the movie. Battle of Gods did things a little in a specific way where you saw that Vegeta was obviously scrambling a lot to really please Beerus, but this episode does it in an entirely different level. I mean, Vegeta does so many things to keep Beerus calm and make sure that his stay on Earth is as enjoyable as possible, and he can just leave without destroying the Earth or completely annihilating everyone on it. So that's his main goal. But of course, everybody else who's on the cruise ship has no idea what the heck is going on, and it's freaking hysterical. I loved how everyone just got to butt in and try and introduce themselves to Lord Beerus, and Vegeta just freaking out like, oh my god, can you all just screw off? Because if you do something, he's gonna just plan and just destroy the planet, you freaking idiots. I just love that. And everybody has their moment where they just almost screw everything up. I mean, you have Yamcha, which, ironically enough, I don't know why he was in this episode in general doing anything, but I just love that sequence where he just pats freaking Beerus on the back and is like, I'm the strongest fighter, I don't know what the heck he got that idea in his head, but whatever. And then you have Krillin running around with freaking food, and Bulma like introducing, the whole gang to Beerus and whatever, and all this kind of crazy stuff. And then you have Pilaf in the side, the side wing of the whole party. There's like this good separate subplots that don't really get in the way of the initial plot of the story, which is obviously Vegeta pleasing Beerus. But I like the fact that they had these tiny little subplots everywhere where you had Goten and Trunks playing around with their squirt guns, which I thought was completely enjoyable to watch. I love the whole music in the background and the fact that they were they're super powered beings, but they're using these stupid little squirt guns that you can get like at a Walgreens or something. I just love that idea. You have the rest of the game playing around. You have Gohan and Videl, clinging to each other, watching the ocean and shit. Lots of really interesting things happening behind the scenes in the background, which I really enjoyed. Overall, I think the main focus that really intrigued me, that was behind the scenes, with the exception of everything I already mentioned, has to be the fact that we finally got to see Bulma's mother, Mrs. Briefs, with her eyes actually open. I don't know if anybody caught that, but if you go back and watch episode 6, there's like 2 or 3 sequences where you actually get to see Bulma's mom, and her eyes are actually open, and because that's like the ongoing gag with, her character, is that if you go back and watch all of Z, her eyes are always closed in every pretty much sequence that she's in. But in this episode, they finally had it open. I don't know if that was like a mistake, like someone was like, why are her eyes always closed? Fuck it, we're gonna have it open this time. It was just funny to see that. Also, quick thing that I wanted to ask all the Dragon Ball fans out there is, why is Tights not a part of this series? I just find that odd. Like, I was just thinking, like, now that Jocko is a canon character of the Dragon Ball franchise, like now that he's a part of, he was a big part of Resurrection F, and now that he's more than likely at some point going to be incorporated to Dragon Ball Super, if you look at the, the opening credits, he's in there. So now that his character is canon, I just find it weird that they didn't, like, bring back Tights. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's Bulma's birthday party, and they have, like, they have everybody, all the characters in there, like, all her family and friends and shit, and that's all fun and enjoyable, but, like, why is her older sister not there? Like, do they not get along or something? I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I think it would have been nice just to, I guess, mention her or something. It's kind of funny, like, Vegeta and Bulma have siblings out there that no one ever talks about or we ever get to see. Like, there's Tarbo and Tights. They're out there in the world. Who the heck knows what they're doing, but they're out there. But overall, moving off of that, this episode was just a solid episode. Vegeta, we get a good, nice flashback into the past, where we get to see Vegeta's first impressions and glimpse of Beerus and his power, and Beerus is just a badass. Like, if you thought that Beerus was an OP badass character for Dragon Ball Z standards, this episode pretty much destroys that factor. I mean, like, nobody even has to touch him. He can just, like, he could just freaking paralyze you and stop you right at your tracks, not by even touching you. He just has to look at you, and then boom, you're down right in the ground. You're done. It's a done deal. I love that fact. I love how amazingly and increasingly more powerful he is every time we see him, but how not cliche, but like how, whatever attitude he has about it. Like, he doesn't treat himself like I'm an overpowered being, but he treats it like it's a whatever kind of thing, and I like that. Like, Vegeta's like all pissed off because, like, when they're introduced, they kind of mess with him a little bit. They're like doing some kind of trickery, shadowy thing to him, which is, comedic and funny. But Vegeta, obviously being a non-comedic character, completely freaks out, and his first idea is to, like, obviously attack Beerus and Whis with an attack mode, and of course Beerus just stops him right in his tracks, not even touching him, not just by looking at him, and it was pretty badass. But overall, everything else that moves on from there, Vegeta, my god, like, I think that it's a real interesting take, because it's a real, I guess it depends on what kind of Dragon Ball Z fan, or how I should put it, like a Vegeta fanboy you really are, because I know that a lot of people didn't like Battle of Gods because of the take of Vegeta. They didn't like the fact that he was so jokey, and the fact that he was doing that dancing and singing thing. This episode does that, but, like, they take it up to, like that was, like, at 8. They took this all the way to max, like, 10. Like, Vegeta does a lot of goofy stuff, like, he's just scrambling around, he's falling on his face, he's, doing things he doesn't naturally do, and I just love the fact that he just tries so hard to please Lord Beerus. It's so hysterical, even more funny than Battle of Gods, and I love Battle of Gods for its comedy. This sequence, this specific episode alone, takes it to a 10, and I like that. I love that fact. I love the how Bulma just, like, brings him into him, and, like, Vegeta's like, can you please shut up, don't talk to him, just go over there, please. I just love that fact. And I also find it hysterical and enjoyable that Isn't it funny that Vegeta can pretty much do anything? I just love that. Like, he can, like, there's a specific scene where, like, Trunks, like an idiot, accidentally, like, sprays water at Beerus's face, and of course he gets pissed off, and, in true, Beerus fashion, decides to, like, kill everybody and destroy the planet. But, Vegeta decides to dive into the ocean, grab a gigantic octopus, shoot it into the sky, and then cut off one of its, tentacles, and then decides to go back to the ship and cook it up. I was like, every time that scene kept progressing and continuously going on, like he gets the, he puts it on the grill, he starts prepping up his cooking utensils, and he's like fixing up for Beerus, and I'm like, God, now he can cook. Like, is there anything Vegeta can't do? Like, he can dance, he can sing, he can, like, he's ripped, he's a badass. He can eat anything and not get fat. He gets all the chicks. He's, the only thing he can't do is beat Goku, I guess. That's, like, the legitimate thing he can own. Like, that's it. But everything else he's awesome at. He can cook, he can dance, he can sing, he gets the chicks, he's a badass. He can do anything, he's just awesome. Vegeta's just awesome. So if you're a hardcore Vegeta fan, this is the episode for you. But unless you're like one of those really hardcore Vegeta fans who are like, no, I like Vegeta always to be tough and, then this episode may not be for you. But overall, if you're a hardcore fan or just just a standard fan of the lore and the series of Dragon Ball overall, this episode is definitely for you. It's an entertaining, fun, badass episode. I just love it. I love the comedy. I love how it sets up the big battles to come. Of course, spoilers. Eventually, the same thing in this episode happens. The same thing that happens in the movie Battle of Gods, happens in this episode, where obviously Beerus and Whis want pudding. Majin Buu has all of it, doesn't want to give it to him, and decides to just like destroy everybody. And of course, Majin Buu attacks Beerus like an idiot. I also like the fact that they're taking the time to really do a lot more fighting sequences that they didn't really do in the movie. Like in the movie, Beerus pretty much shoots off Majin Buu with, like, not even touching him. Like, he doesn't even get to touch him. In this episode, like, Majin Buu's, like, continuously punching Beerus in the face, of course having no effect, and then Beerus just goes right into town, just pounding the crap out of, Majin Buu and what have you. I'm just saying, like Majin Buu, why are you such a douche? I'm just saying, like, you would think, because I guess it's because the English dub, changed his voice, so I don't know, when I hear his voice, I'm just like, oh, he's just happy-go-lucky, but, they treat him like he's like, why are you being such a douche? There's, like, a shit ton of pudding, and he's, like, god of destruction, you freaking numbskull, but whatever. At the end of the day, this is a solid, awesome, fun, entertaining, phenomenal episode. I love the flashback of Vegeta and his father, and Beerus, completely treating Vegeta like crap, and I love that sequence where, kid Vegeta, and you can tell this is, anime kid Vegeta. This is the continuation of that prior series, and the only way you can tell is the fact that Vegeta has bangs, because in the movie he had the natural peak, but in the episode he has bangs, so it's just one of those minor touches that I noticed that I just thought was kind of funny. But overall, I like that scene where Vegeta tries to save his dad, but of course fails the same way like he always does, but of course Beerus, with that mind power that he has, just completely stops him right in his tracks and is like, oh, you're trying to hit me? Okay, now you're on the ground. Fuck you. I'm just saying, Beerus is awesome. And Vegeta is also awesome. I'm just saying, he can do anything. He's awesome. Overall, if I had to rate this episode, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's a solid, awesome, entertaining, funny episode. It completely blows episode 5 out of the water, which was surprising because now that we're pretty much in Battle of Gods territory, I thought it was going to be much more boring in comparison to the movie, but this episode really did it for me. It was just a good, pleasurable episode. I loved it, and I can't wait to see next episode. We're going to see some freaking, Z Warriors fighting Beerus, and freaking Beerus taking them all out, and then, he bitch slaps Bulma, and then Vegeta goes on a rager, because I think that's actually the title of next week's episode, which is, you hurt my, my Bulma or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to enter that territory. We got a teaser towards that, so definitely can't wait to see that episode. But overall, it's a solid 8 out of 10. Let me know what your personal thoughts are on Dragon Ball Super Episode 6. Let me know in the comment section below your personal thoughts on this versus the movie, and your personal thoughts on the flashbacks and Vegeta trying to pleasure and please Lord Beerus and all that kind of stuff, your personal speculations for future episodes, all that stuff. Let me know in the comments section below. And of course, right before I leave, here are some shameless plugs for other Dragon Ball content that I've put out already that hopefully you guys go to my channel, check out. Of course, my latest episode of Super Kaioken, please check that out. My Resurrection F movie review, please check that out as well. And of course, always check out my last episode of Dragon Ball Super. And of course, my DBZ discussion, Does Gohan Suck? Which is a specific video I made discussing the fact that there's a lot of people who out there who not really quite fond of Gohan anymore. But based off the teaser, he's still Ultimate Gohan. So I guess we'll have to see in the future. What does the future hold for Gohan? Is he going to be cool again? Who the heck knows? We're going to have to find out. But overall, comment below. Check out those videos. Hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JohnShka12. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. And this has been JohnShka12.